Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, let's start off with Leo, Hattie, and Rafe. So, Rafe actually finds Hattie before Sean does. And here's the thing about Leo. While I will sit there and say that he can be a very great character, he can also be kind of an annoying character too. Like he has what they call diarrhea mouth, where he just starts blurting stuff out and he just keeps going and going and going. And I get that him and Hattie is supposed to be like comedy relief, but it took 9 minutes. It took 9 minutes before he actually got to um got to the point of Cynthia saying, "Hey, listen, you're the person that was behind the whistleblower thing and behind the whole hacking of my laptop and everything." And I sat there and I was like, does Hattie look like somebody who can sit there and hack into a laptop? Like, seriously, I imagine that is pass protected when, like when he was with Javi, the tabs and everything like that was open. So he just had to press a button or whatever, or he could have just told him. I don't know. But the point is, Hattie does not seem like the type of person that's a hacker. And then, of course, later on, he finds out when when after Ray tells Jada that he's the one that caught Hattie and he takes her down to the station and everything, there's an updated post and that they're saying that I'm not Hattie. So now he's just back to square one. And of course, this is where we get back to um, it could have been Javi. It really could have been. I know that he got really offended and everything like that, but it could have been. And if it's not Javi, then I have no idea who the hell it is. But speaking of Jada and Gabby, they talk about JJ and the whole date thing and everything, and they're about to go on a date or whatever. Um, but then they also talk about Hattie and how Jada gets a call from Sean Smith there saying that Hattie got away. And now Jada is upset, most likely thinking that Rafe got to her. And they get into this whole thing where after Rafe delivers Hattie to her, and she starts questioning her, and she gets stopped by Belle. Belle just comes in out of nowhere. I don't even understand how Belle actually caught wind of the fact that there was a new client or whatever, and she just see this is where the whole ambulance chaser thing just comes into play. But anyway, um, while Jada is sitting there interrogating Hattie, like I said, Belle comes in there and stops it. But I could have swore even before that, Hattie was like, "Hey, listen, I still get my phone call." And so when Belle comes in, Belle shuts down the interview. Jada gets upset with Rafe and they're saying, "Well, if Sean would have got to her first, then we would have got something." And I'm like, and pretty much why she blames Rafe for that. And I'm like, but a public defender could have got there and it would have been the same thing. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the law and stuff like that. Like, I think they're allowed to. I mean, and I'm assuming I think they're allowed to question you until you sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not saying anything without my lawyer." But Hattie is a dingbat. And I guess my whole point is she gets upset with Rafe, and I'm like, well, if Sean was a better detective, he would have got to her first. So like part of me was like, you got the person in you got the suspect or whatever. He literally gave it to you in a bow for Christmas, and you're pretty much getting all pissy talking about, well, now I'm not getting anything from her. Like, and who was to sit there and say you was gonna get something? Like seriously, like some of the stuff that she's being accused. Well, she can't be arrested for spoilers, but like she could be arrested for the whole tampering thing. But I don't know. Part of me was just like, even Gabby was like, "Hey, listen, even if Rafe did find her, like he's kind of doing the heavy lifting for you. So why are you like so upset?" It seems more of an ego thing than anything else. Like I said, she did sit there and say, "I get my phone call." So what makes you thought you would have got anything anyway? Um, So Ava got, she gets a text or whatever, and she heads to Brady's to sit there and tell her that most likely Kristen was the one that sent it to her. Well, Brady's not there telling Belle, my night didn't really go so well with her. One bad thing happened at the next, and he's not there somehow blaming Kristen for that. Here's the problem with this whole thing. I don't think that Kristen did it. Yes, during the time Ava was not there getting that text, you cut over to Kristen. She's not there sending a text, and of course EJ scared her and was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like what kind of nefarious stuff are you up to?" But it doesn't necessarily mean that Kristen was the one that was texting Ava. But see, this is the whole thing about they always sit there and say the boy who cries wolf. So at some point, Brady, after hearing from Ava about the whole text, he jets over there. He started accusing her of everything. And she's like, what are you talking about? Of course, she laughs it off and she's super defensive and stuff. But by the way, I love how Brady just blew past EJ and EJ's like, you just walked into my house, like, no knocking, no nothing, no common courtesy, and acting like I'm not standing there. I'm like, bro, are you serious? So he accuses her, and then he leaves. And I'm like, so here's the thing. Even if she didn't do it, and I don't think that she probably did. Well, see, that's another thing. So while Brady's gone, Belle isn't there warning Ava, like, it's not so much about your past or whatever. You weren't really in your mind. Chloe had a bad run-in with her. Kristen is just super obsessed with Brady and will literally mow down anyone that gets in her way. And this is listen, I haven't really been watching the show that long, but they just make Kristen so one dimensional. So one dimensional that it's like she she just can't be with anyone else. This is one of the things I was discussing my members live stream yesterday. Um, is that they just make her so much of a pathetic character. It's like, have they ever really paired her up with anyone other than Brady? I know for a while she was obsessed with John Black, but like, that's it. That's the best you could sit there and do with Kristen is just either have her obsessed with one man or obsessed with another man. Like, really? I don't. I feel like on some level they can do better, but I don't know. Certain things that they start doing, like again, the whole comedy hour with Leo and Hattie, and I know some people like that, and I get that, but it starts to drag and it starts to get kind of annoying once. Oh, anyway, so at some point, Brady gets back and he tells Belle that he confronted Kristen, and Brady's like, hey, listen, most likely that EJ's there now. She's not going to be sent sending any more threatening letters. I mean, any threatening texts. Now, of course, before she does get another text, Ava's like, well, what if there's a chance that Kristen didn't sit there and send them? But of course, she gets another text, and she's like, most likely Kristen did it. Now, I don't think that Kristen did it. At one point, I want to sit there and say that she did because that's generally her MO. But I know with soap operas, they tend to do a lot of misdirection. So it is totally possible that she's not the one that sent it. Now, at some point, AJ does get a person at the door. They don't say who it is. I'm guessing they'll sit there and say who it is tomorrow. This whole week, from what my friend Jonathan says, is that they're not. Every day is going to be a new episode. So like even Christmas and stuff like that's going to be a new episode. And part of me was like, well, damn, do they actually get like a day off? I know that they shoot 6 months in advance, but okay, I guess that will kind of cover them not. But if they still seriously, if they're doing it every day, then that means even 6 months after, they still worked on Christmas. And as much as I love new episodes every day, I do have to sit there and kind of look at that and be like, I don't know. I don't know how happy they would be if they had to work on Christmas or Hanukkah and stuff like that, or Kwanzaa or Festus or whatever day that you sit there and celebrate. You know, at the end of the day, it's like you want to sit there and make these actors happy. And so doing that, I don't really know, but again, I don't know these actors either. Also in the beginning, Leo was not there. You know, he had the necklace on and stuff like that, contemplating should he do the right thing and not do the right thing. I don't know. The problem with Leo and some of his stories is that as well as a complex character that he can also be pretty grating, right? And so I gotta sit there and ask, yeah, does the Leo character work for you? And I don't mean people that's like, oh, well, you know, I don't like the LGBT or, you know, the fact that he's gay. I mean, just as a character in general. Because for a while, I was like, you know, Leo's actually a great addition to the show. But then it's like they either put him in situations where he has to sit there and talk to himself and be all, I don't know, I don't want to sit there and say funny because there's times where he's not really funny. He's just, it's like a bad joke that just keeps going. And it's like, it's not funny. And you ever saw a bad comedian that just bombs a joke and just keeps going? That's what Leo is sometimes. I think that's probably the problem with Leo is that they start trying to inject a little bit too much comedy. And after a while, it just doesn't work. And it's like they don't know when to stop it. And you just hope, seriously, I just hope that sometimes whenever he's, I don't know, I guess bombing, that somebody else comes in there and it's not just this one man comedy show. Oh, okay. So at some point, JJ comes and Gabby gets ready. And Jada's like, hey, you know, listen, I would love to sit there and have you back on the force. You know, you're a good cop and stuff. Does she know his history of JJ shooting Theo? Now, again, I'm new to the show. I don't really know the whole history behind that. The only thing that I know, and let's just be real, is that he shot an unarmed black man. And that's the reason why I'm assuming he stopped being a cop. So while they're on their date, and you know, JJ's like, you know, I'm going to be leaving after the holidays. He's like, Jada did ask me to come back, but he's like, I'm not really too sure because that whole thing really affected me. And they don't go into it specifically, but he does sit there and say, if it wasn't for you going back, if it wasn't for you finding me at the hotel, I wouldn't be here. Now, I don't know if they tackled the issue of, let's say, unaliving oneself. That's what it seemed like they were alluding to. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know in the comment section, and try not to use the actual word, because you know I don't want this video to get demonetized. But we'll just sit there and say him unaliving himself if that was the case. Um, a lot of people are sitting there saying that he's just poor substitute for Stefan. I can agree, but I also don't know the reasons. I don't know the reasons why Brandon's not on the show. I don't know if he's not on the show because he chose to left, or if he's not on the show because they chose to fire him. And I mean, granted, at the end of the day, he's still not a great substitute. Maybe he has to sit there and do. I think I would give them a little more grace if it turned out that Brandon wanted to leave. I don't know. It's the same way I felt about with Nathan on General Hospital. When I found out that he wanted to leave, every scene that they try to do this whole sad stuff with Nathan dying and stuff like that, I just didn't care. I really did not care because I knew that he wanted to leave. As opposed to him just being killed off, or them firing him, I think it would have hit a little bit differently. And that's the same thing with Brandon Barash, or however you pronounce his name. Now, I feel like that's pretty much about it for the most part. This episode wasn't bad, wasn't super great. I don't think Hattie did either one of those things. I don't think that Hattie knows how to bake, let alone, well, one, I knew that she wasn't Lady Whistleblower. But I don't think that she's actually the person that poisoned the biscuits in general. I think it's just a way for them to bring her back on and her little kooky comedy that apparently works for some people. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got. If I miss anything, write it in the comment section below. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a live stream tonight because by the time I get home, it's just going to be super late. So most likely I won't do it. Keep an eye out on the community tab. That will sit there and let you know when I'm doing my lives and when I'm not doing my lives. Most likely, I'm gonna try to do one tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow is still hell day, but I get out an hour earlier than today, which it doesn't seem like a lot. But the thing is, I do 4 soap operas, so let's just sit there and say timing is key. Now, again, if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.